Every night Claire walked home from work. The walk was about 20 minutes, but she enjoyed it. It was her time to unwind, to listen to music and just relax after a busy day. Plus, her house was a bit far from the subway station, so she had no choice but to walk. But one evening, as she was nearing her house, she felt a chill down her spine. As she glanced over her shoulder, she thought she saw a shadow, just a dark shape that seemed to be following her. At first, she dismissed it. It was probably just a tree or a big dog, she told herself. Then she heard footsteps. Footsteps that matched hers. She quickened her pace, trying to ignore the sound, but it continued. No matter how fast she walked, the footsteps were always there. Suddenly, she broke into a run. She didn't dare look back, but she could feel the footsteps getting closer and closer. When she finally reached her door, fumbling for her keys, she could hear the footsteps right behind her. She quickly opened the door and bolted inside. Only when the door was shut and locked did she allow herself to turn around. Slowly, she looked out through the peephole. There was no one there. Claire let out a shaky breath, her heart pounding against her ribs. She told herself it must have been a figment of her imagination. But as she went to bed that night, she couldn't help but wonder if what she had felt was real or not. The next day at work, she told her best friend, Kate, about the previous night's terrifying experience. "A shadow following you," Kate said, her eyes wide. "That doesn't sound good." She paused, thinking, maybe it was just a really tall person with a really big dog. You know, like a black dog, like you said, with long dark fur. "I don't think so," Claire replied. "It wasn't a dog. I could feel its footsteps. And besides, if it was a person, why didn't they run away when I started running?" "Well, maybe they were trying to scare you," Kate suggested. "So, do you plan on walking home tonight?" "No way," Claire said, shuddering at the thought. "I'm taking the bus even if I have to walk an extra mile at the end of the line." And so every night Claire took the bus, but she never felt safe. She would jump at every shadow, every rustle of leaves, every creak of the old wooden houses. Her once enjoyable walk had become a nightmare. She couldn't understand why this was happening to her. One night, as the bus rumbled along the street, Claire spotted a familiar face, or rather a familiar back. The woman in front of her was wearing the same red coat she had seen in the reflection that fateful night. Had she been following her all along? Claire hesitated, torn between the desire to get home quickly and the fear of being followed again. But as the bus approached her stop, she decided she couldn't wait any longer. She thanked the driver and hurried off the bus, practically running to her door. She fumbled with her keys, but it was no use. Someone was behind her. In the glass panel beside the door, she saw a tall figure moving closer, their face obscured by the darkness. Claire screamed and slammed the door shut, leaning against it as she watched the dark shape outside come into focus. It was a woman who looked a lot like the one from the bus. The woman knocked on the door. "Hello," she called out. "Can I help you?" Claire asked cautiously. "Are you Claire?" the woman asked. "Yes," Claire replied hesitantly. "I'm here to tell you something," the woman said, her voice soft. "I've been watching you for a while now." Claire's heart skipped a beat. She wanted to scream, to run, but she couldn't. She was frozen in fear as the woman continued. "You're in danger," she said, "and I'm here to protect you." Before Claire could ask any questions, the lights flickered and went out, plunging the hallway into darkness. A loud crash echoed from somewhere above them, then silence. Claire finally found her voice. "Who are you?" she whispered. "Why are you here?" The woman didn't answer. Instead, she reached out and gently touched Claire's arm. "Don't be afraid," she said. "I won't hurt you." But Claire couldn't help herself. She screamed and pushed the woman away. In the struggle, the door behind her swung open and Claire stumbled backward. She fell, her head hitting the floor hard. She lay there for a moment, dazed, as the woman rushed to her side. "Claire, can you hear me?" she asked urgently. "What happened?" Claire asked, her voice weak. The woman helped her to her feet and led her inside. "You need to leave," she said, her voice urgent. "Leave now." But before Claire could respond, another crash sounded, this time closer, and a dark figure emerged from the shadows. "Run!" the woman shouted, pushing Claire toward the stairs. Claire hesitated, torn between her fear of the dark figure and her desire to help the woman. But the woman's desperate eyes told her there was no time to waste. She fled up the stairs, not daring to look back. As she ran, she heard the crash of breaking glass and the sound of her own screams echoing through the empty house. Finally, she burst through the front door and collapsed on the lawn, gasping for breath. When she looked up, she saw the woman standing in the doorway, her face pale and drawn. "Please," the woman whispered, "please run." And that's when Claire realized the woman wasn't trying to hurt her, she was trying to protect her. But protect her from what? And who was that dark figure? Have you ever felt like someone was behind you? Share your story in the comments. And don't forget to follow for more. See you next time.